Hello, music fans. Welcome to Bands and Beers with Brennen. I'm your host, Brennen, and today my guest is Will again. Super happy to get to chat to him again. The band we're talking about is Avenged Sevenfold, and my beer today is King Street Saison. It's a Block 3 brewing. It's from St. Jacobs, Ontario. So looking forward to this. How's it going, Will?
I'm good. My beer once again is no beer.
That's all right. It's afternoon on a Sunday, so
It is 2:15.
More responsible choice.
Yeah, I don't even drink coffee afternoon.
All right.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna talk about Avenged Sevenfold, and we're going to rank the albums from our least favorite to our most favorite, and we could start with Will. So you could start out with his least favorite Avenged album.
Well, this is easy. The thing about Avenged Sevenfold for me is I only do have 3 of their albums, and therefore I've only listened to those so much. I know those 3 inside and out. But my least favorite, I guess I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt here, but I've only listened to once, and it's definitely Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. I think the name. Yeah, it's not that this is totally a bad thing, but the production on it is pretty weak.
Yeah.
I honestly found it kind of, grating to listen to, especially considering when I checked out all their albums, I was going through all of them, and I think I was listening to The Stage and all its production glory, and then I'm like, okay, I had to listen to Sounding the Seventh Trumpet for the first time, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Pretty rough. So I think that's, again, benefit of the doubt because I've only heard it once, but let's put it this way, I put an effort to listen to the other ones that I hadn't heard before more than once, and Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, I did not. So, yeah, definitely last place.
You didn't feel the need to go back to it as much. I guess it didn't speak to you.
I will. I just literally found it kind of annoying. It's really grating black metal where the production just bothers your ear. It's kind of what it was like.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't find it that bad. I definitely agree that it's their weakest in terms of production, but I would not as far as bad production black metal for me.
Oh no, it's not that bad. I'm not saying it's as bad as bad production black metal, but it's just that kind of same sensation. Yeah.
All right. Did any track on that one pop out to you as a standout track?
I don't remember the name of a single one. And again, I don't think the album is bad or anything. It's just, clearly they were early in their career.
Yeah, they were probably pretty young with that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick a different least favorite, actually. So my least favorite is actually going to be Hail to the King from 2013. And for me, it's actually really their only album that I don't really enjoy or go back too much. It sounded kind of like a Metallica or Iron Maiden tribute band to me. I think they went kind of more simplistic, more radio-friendly songs. Found the drumming to be kind of what I would call caveman drumming compared to the other albums in the catalog. It was very simplistic. It almost sounded like Lars Ulrich drumming rather than, it's a different drummer than all their other albums. I forget his name. I think it's Aaron something.
Yeah.
I really find the Revs drumming and Mike Portnoy's drumming on Nightmare way better. And the new guy, I think, is Brooks Wackerman or something.
And he was a different guy?
Yeah.
For the Stage?
Yeah, the drummer on the Stage is different from the drummer on Hail to the King, and I much prefer the drumming on the Stage.
Oh yeah.
Over.
Oh, there's no.
But there was still some good, I guess I should caveat this by saying I think every Avenged Sevenfold album is at least decent. Like they don't have terrible albums,
No,
but this one I found was the weakest. There are still some good moments on it. Like the guitar playing is always amazing on all their albums. Like
vocals
just
too.
have amazing guitar playing. Yeah, they have some catchy moments. I think my favorite song on Hail the King um, would would be Requiem. It's
Yeah,
got like an epic choir at the start, and then pretty sweet riff. Um,
I'm actually gonna bust. I'm gonna get their this track listing of these albums up.
oh yeah, bring that
Yeah,
put that up on one screen. I've got the track listing up on one screen. I got your face on the other one, so yeah,
we're giving away the fact that we don't just know everything about.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't know the name of every song off the top of my head. Sometimes I just kind of throw albums on and just like let them play through. So with a lot of bands, I totally just forget the song names, but I'm like, oh yeah, the one that goes like, that one's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um, but I picked my favorite songs out before this call. So Requiem has a cool like 3 against 4 polymeter thing going on in the verse between the two guitars. Killer solo as usual. My other favorite would probably be Heretic, another killer guitar solo as well. Yeah, so that's my least favorite album. Guess we could jump into your second least favorite.
yeah, and I'm probably gonna go with Waking the Fallen. Honestly, uh, it's good. It's definitely like a more polished up uh, sounding the seventh trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the thing about like, I find their albums more than some other bands like when we did Dream Theater. I find Dream Theater's like where you'd rank their albums. And I guess in saying this, I'm sort of giving away my overall ranking, but the difference between a band like Dream Theater is like, to me, my favorite album is like their second one, right?
Right.
And some bands, it's like, oh, their second and their fifth, they're like their best. But I feel like Avenged Sevenfold, more or less, I'm not saying precisely, but more or less, I think it kind of got better as it went, sort of, at least more so. Uh, but yeah, like Waking the Fallen, definitely better than Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. And I do own this one.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It never grabbed me as much compared to the other albums of theirs I own, which I've gone back to and listened to death. Like they just, like totally. It's
Screaming maybe, or what do you think?
no, I find the songs just don't grab me as much. No, I like the screaming. I mean, God, I listen to like death metal for, like death metal.
Yeah.
Nile and Behemoth
For sure.
were like my favorite bands in high school. Oh, it's not that. It's just the songs don't. I find Avenged Sevenfold is actually very good at making like catchy songs, and they're obviously good at being progressive and all that, and they have great instrumentation. But
Oh yeah.
one thing I feel like Waking the Fallen lacks is catchiness, except for my favorite song, which is so utterly predictable and basic. But yeah, it's Unholy Confessions.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Not surprised. That's an awesome riff. Everybody loves that.
yeah, well, it's honestly that chorus is probably the best part of it. Actually, you know what? I say that, but I forget the name of the song, but it has, I'm kind of torn now because I forget the name of the song, but there's one, maybe it's Radiant Eclipse, where it has the classical guitar finger picking.
There's a few songs.
What song is that?
Oh yeah. What song is that?
clearly I don't know the words.
There's multiple songs that have classical guitar. I remember there's a classical guitar in Reminiscence. Let me check if I can play the song right now. See if that's what you're thinking about. Let me see. I think it'd be at the ending. So.
No, I think it's during the verse. What I'm talking about.
Where's the classical guitar? Oh, here we go. I think this is the part you're talking
about. That one's a really good one. So I don't know. It's kind of between that and Unholy Confessions, but I'm just gonna go with Unholy Confessions to be, that's just one catchy track. That's definitive of like my high school years. So yeah.
Did you hear that song I was playing? Is that the part you're thinking of?
Yes, I could hear it. The quality's kind of nah, but But yeah.
Through my computer speakers, it just goes into my mic, so it's probably not sounding that good. But
no, it's not great, but yeah, still, again, all their albums are decent. They're a good band.
Yeah, cool. All right. My second least favorite would be Sounding the Seventh Trumpet from 2001. So that's their first full-length album. I still consider it kind of like an early metalcore gem because I think I'm trying to think of like what are some of the first like full-length metalcore albums that I ever heard that kind of had that early 2000s metalcore sound, and other than like Killswitch Engage and Under Oath, this is maybe like one of the first ones. So they're kind of among the pioneers of the 2000s metalcore sound. Even though they ended up kind of abandoning that sound after Waking the Fallen, like they kind of did metalcore for 2 albums, then went more to like kind of more old school heavy metal almost, kind of more like Maiden sounding after that. But yeah, I agree with you on this being the weakest production. I think it has just a cool rawness and hunger to it, sounding like kind of young, passionate musicians who maybe aren't as experienced yet, but they still had really good ideas. So I find it kind of neat to listen to, but I don't really go back to it much either.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, I still prefer it to Hail to the King. And I think my favorite song on it would be Darkness Surrounding, which almost has like a punk rock sound. It's got some like backing vocals going like oh. That has some pretty like metalcore sounding riffs. It has a breakdown. It has some catchy melodies and everything like that. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, the album absolutely has more energy than Hail to the King, or even like later albums too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got that punky thrashiness.
Yeah, there's another good song in there called We Come Out at Night, where like the first half of the song is just like really brutally hardcore, but then the second half is melodic, and I think there's even like piano parts and stuff like that on this album where it's just piano and singing. So it kind of brings you on a bit more of a roller coaster journey where there's like thrashing in your face with like really fast drums and breakdowns and screaming, and then like singing over piano and everything like that. So there's a lot of ups and downs, but the production is definitely weaker, and I think even like the vocal performances I find weaker than their later albums. Like I think M Shadow's singing improved since then a lot.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of, the singing is not quite up to his standard, to his more modern standard. Still,
he's definitely easier on his voice now. For one thing, you can hear in like his technique.
Yeah.
He like back in the I only listened to Sounding the Seventh Trumpet once, but it's noticeable on It's noticeable on that and Waking the Fallen. He's really tearing at his throat.
Oh yeah.
It hurt you.
I assume he must have like heard his voice after Waking the Fallen, or he just like stopped liking that style as much. because he pretty much abandoned screaming. There's a couple screaming songs after Waking the Fallen, and maybe a couple screaming moments, but pretty much
Yeah,
after that.
there's a bit in Nightmare, which actually kind of surprised me to listen to
Yeah,
because like there was none on the two albums before, or like maybe like
one or
literally,
two moments. Yeah,
yeah, like the drawn out like scream in the beginning of Beast and the Harlot, but other than that, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Cool.
Cool.
I guess we're on to how many albums they have? They have 7 albums, so we're on to our third least favorite now.
Okay.
That for you?
Yeah, this is getting a little bit more difficult. Um, I think I have. I'd have a hard time not saying "Hail to the King," and that is tough. It really is. But yeah, I'm gonna say "Hail to the King" just because I probably enjoy listening to it more right now because I've kind of worn out some of the other ones.
Right.
Just by listening to them over and over again. But I mean, I just think, dude, like that's kind of a statement of how much I do and have always loved those albums since I've heard them. So I guess I'll say "Hail to the King," which I do like quite a bit actually. It's certainly it's certainly more simple than their uh, well every other album.
Yeah.
Like, and there are a couple moments that are too, like, I forget what song it is, but there is a song that, unless it's a song on Nightmare and I'm confused, but there is a song that is too much like Metallica, I think it is, where it's kind of like,
I think
you're really,
yeah, they have a couple songs like that, but I think maybe the one that you're talking about, one that I noticed a lot that sounds like Metallica is actually the first song on Hail to the King, Shepherd of Fire. To me,
no, that's not to me. Anyway, go ahead.
sounds like Enter Sandman to me. Like just the way it builds, like the whole arc of the song, it's got just like this kind of building up drum sound right at the beginning, and then it just hits you with the. I think the riff though is
Yeah.
and just the way it builds up that riff, it feels like the Enter Sandman riff, kind of coming in with the drums and everything.
Okay. See, when I said Metallica, I wasn't thinking like Black Album, like metal/rock Metallica. I was thinking a little bit more of their like thrashiness.
Oh, okay.
Not quite, but I'm not talking about like what's like I'm not talking. This is a newer Metallica song, but it is undoubtedly thrashy. But yeah, I'm not talking about like All Nightmare Long. I'm talking about like more like a Ride the Lightning kind of thing, where it's that kind of tempo. I forget what the song is, but regardless, it might have even been on Nightmare, but it does really sound like Metallica. Anyway, but again, this album does. It is more basic, but man, the songs really do rock. And there's a ballad on it too that is really good. I find all their ballads are good, even though some of them can feel a little bit samey or whatever. And I really like the kind of Western sound they adopted that kind of started with. I mean, there was a slight bit of it on like "Strength of the World" and "City of Evil,"
Yeah.
which was. I'll get to that, but like "Dear God," they kind of almost have this, yeah, with the self-titled, they kind of have this Western kind of country-ish sound with that. I really like that, and there's a song on "Hail to the King," if I remember correctly. I've actually listened to this album. I went back and listened to the whole thing like 3 times because I liked it. I really like that sound, and man, the album really does rock. And I'm glad. I almost forgot about this, but the production is easily their second best, or maybe even first best production, but second best. But which really does, like, I mean, it certainly helps it. I remember the first time listening to songs from it and remarking on the vocals specifically. I just really like the way they sounded, and the guitar. The guitar too. I find with albums like Nightmare, Awaken the Fallen, Sound in the Seventh Trumpet, uh, the guitar sounds a little bit like too. I'm really not a production expert with like at all, but there's like like not enough mids maybe. Like maybe it's too and like too bassy. It's hard to describe, but the guitar on Hail to the King sounds really good, like all of it does, and the vocals really shine in this album. And it's catchy, and I dig it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I generally find like the production just seems to get better and better over time. It's kind of the
Definitely.
trend that I see. Just like the later albums have better production than the earlier albums. But for me, like my main criteria when I'm like kind of ranking them, I'm looking at composition first and like kind of how interesting the compositions are. Because I consider that a bit more important than production. Unless the production is like really terrible or really amazing, like then it can make the difference. But as long as the production is okay, like for me, it's the composition that kind of shines through.
And I'd normally say that I mean, production really does, like, the production is how you experience,
Mhm.
you know, what the composition is. Like what's a good example? I mean, like if you listen to an 8-bit rendition of Enter Sandman, you know, like you're not gonna get anything out of it, right? You're not gonna get anything.
You're not gonna have that feeling of like you're gonna headbang,
Yeah,
throw up some horns to some 8-bit.
I mean the composition of a song like Enter Sandman or, you know, on topic, Shepherd of Fire is certainly not going to like wow you, but without good production, you're not gonna get like you know, you're not gonna get the feel of it either. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. Did you have a favorite song from this one? You know?
it honestly, I think, I don't. I'm gonna have to say. I'm just gonna go with Shepherd of Fire. It's pretty cool. It's not like I forget the name of the ballad on it, but there's a ballad I really like on this album, but I don't remember the name, and so I'm probably not gonna be able to. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with Shepherd of Fire.
Yeah, unlike Dream Theater, I actually agree with you that I like Avenged Sevenfold's ballads. I know I like some of Dream Theater's ballads, but in general, I tend to like not be as into Dream Theater's ballads. But for me, Avenged Sevenfold does them well.
I agree. They do have better, like, yeah, their ballads are good. Probably like in the relative to their other music. Yes, I definitely agree that Avenged Sevenfold is better at ballad relative to the rest of their material than Dream Theater is.
Yeah.
By quite a bit.
They usually still aren't my favorite songs on the album, but at least they're kind of like up there in their
Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll jump into my third least favorite by Avenged Sevenfold. And now we're starting to get into like the good stuff. It's really, I think it's only like their weaker two that I find are kind of not up to par. But I find all their others are really strong. So I'm actually going to go with The Stage, their newest album. Kind of pains me to put it at the third least favorite because I think it's their most progressive album. Guitar playing's amazing, but I guess I just haven't found anything as memorable like hooky on it as some of the other albums.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my favorite song is on this album is the title track, "The Stage." Amazing guitar playing. I love when they bust out the classical guitar. You were mentioning that some of the songs on "Waking the Fallen" also have classical guitar. I pretty much love all of their songs that have classical guitar in them. So "The Stage" has that classical guitar outro. And then my second favorite would probably be the last song, "Exist," which is
Yeah.
their longest song. It's kind of like an epic prog metal song, more great guitar playing. Has that spoken word moments from Neil deGrasse Tyson, so it really has that kind of like outer space vibe. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I really like that album, but I guess it's my third least favorite because I like the other ones just a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they were definitely compensating on the stage for the like it's just totally the polar opposite to Hail to the King, with
Yeah,
the
exactly.
exception of production
Yeah.
and performance itself.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, like I know they got a lot of negative stuff due to Hail to the King, and then they were like, okay, you think we went too simple? Fine, we're gonna show you.
Fine,
You're fired, drummer.
we're gonna do Prog. We're gonna get a new drummer who goes crazy, and we're gonna shred, and we're gonna have a 16-minute long song, and we're gonna go all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty cool though.
yeah.
I guess now we've reached the middle of the road. Kind of their middle album. What's their middle one for you?
Their fourth. What am I looking at here? I guess on this list, I'm sort of like in this ranking. I'm taking into account, and I know there's no such thing as being objective
Yeah,
with music. It's all subjective, but I am taking a sort of objective uh, look at it. I guess you know what?
I'm doing more personal opinion, I guess.
Okay.
Do it.
Well, I don't know. I'm torn. I'm kind of gonna. I'm gonna go with City of Evil,
Okay.
which is a tough choice,
Yeah.
but it. God, I love this album, but I feel like I've actually worn it out kind of too much. Like some of the really popular songs on it, I really liked in high school, like "Beast in the Harlot," "Fat Country,"
Oh yeah.
"Seize the Day." Like I loved those in high school, and I wore them out to the point where, like, listening to them now, it's kind of like it's just gone. You know, like all the, it's like you do a drug and it's just totally, lost its effect. That's kind of those songs. But there are songs like "Strength of the World" was a song I really loved in high school. It kind of actually, you know how in the Dream Theater video we talked about change of seasons and just how like it just really has this spirit of its own and really transports you to this place that
Yeah.
it's just uncomparable to anything else. And that "Strength of the World" was that for me, and I really, and definitely compared to the other songs I just mentioned, it's more of like an epic, long. Like it really feels like a story. Like feels like it should be in the soundtrack to a movie, and I think it's from what I've seen in like the metal community and stuff. I think it's a very overlooked song, personally, very underrated.
Yeah, it is the longest song on that album.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the track list now. I guess it's 9:15 or so. Is that right? Something like that.
Hmm.
I think it's the longest track.
Okay.
Definitely enjoyable. So is that your favorite song on City of Evil?
I feel like it's probably, if I turn on the album right now, it's not the one I'd probably want to listen to the most, but I kind of gotta give it like the "Learning to Live" or like "Scarred" on Dream Theater kind of thing, where I just respect it too much to not give it number one.
Okay.
And obviously, like I personally enjoy it and have enjoyed it, like on an average over time, probably more than any of the other tracks. If I had to pick one to just listen to out of enjoyment right now, oh, you know what? Sidewinder. That's just
Oh
it's
yeah,
because I'm in that kind of mood to listen to something that's kind of pumping, I guess, and that would be a good one for that. So I'm just gonna go with that. I like one of those two.
cool.
But yeah,
Uh,
uh,
that's also my middle album for them. So my fourth favorite and fourth least favorite, because they have seven, um, is also City of Evil from 2005. They kind of moved away from the metalcore sound, the earlier metalcore sound, and I think they captured a much wider audience. And this is considered pretty much a classic, I think, if you look at what the community thinks of it. I think it's generally regarded as one of their best. I put it right in the middle of the pack, and my favorite song from City of Evil. It's a hard choice. I might just be kind of a generic person here, and I'll just say Beast and the Harlot, because it is really great. It's the opening song. I first heard it. It's the first Avenged Sevenfold song I heard, actually. I first heard
Guitar
that
Hero.
in Guitar Hero. Yeah, that's where I actually discovered them. Uh, I was a
Me
big
too,
Guitar
actually.
Hero fan. I think that intro is just epic. It's a really fun song to play on Guitar Hero and on real guitar too. It's actually a pretty fun one to play around with. I remember learning it. It's definitely got some challenging parts. Amazing drum fills too. Really great.
Yeah, you know what? That is a fun. Their guitar. Actually, no, they have a couple. Like that "Strength of the World" riff is actually probably one of my favorite riffs to play. Like when the distorted guitar comes in. But I was gonna say that some of their guitar was not really my favorite style to play because a lot of the rhythms are like kind of punk based. No offense against punk or anything, but just but Beast and the Harlot, definitely a fun one to play for sure.
Yeah.
Like way more than Backcountry, even though I probably prefer Backcountry out of that and Beast and the Harlot, which those two songs were easily like the big two songs
Yeah.
there. But I definitely prefer playing Beast and the Harlot, but
I
even
like
though
both of those are great guitar parts. I remember we were jamming backcountry a bit with Sean and
oh
that was pretty fun.
yeah.
That was a good time. Fun stuff to play. But my second favorite on City of Evil, I think, might be the ending song, MIA.
Oh yeah.
That soft intro that it kind of picks up. And it returns to that soft part for the outro, and I find the vocals at the very end of City of Evil are actually really good. Like, it's a very, I don't know what the technique is called, where he kind of goes high pitch. I don't know if I'd call it falsetto, um, but it's a very cool sound, very unique to that song.
At the end of MIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a falsetto.
Is it falsetto? It sounds really great. Um,
Yeah.
I'll probably try to like sync that sound up with with this part of the video when I edit this before I post it.
And here it comes.
Yeah, there we
So
go.
you got to put it there now.
Yeah, we'll have to put it right there. And then after that awesome vocal part, I guess there's that acoustic guitar solo fade out right at the end of City of Evil. It really is an epic album from start to finish, which really goes to show just how strong some of their other albums are. The fact that we both put this as like their middle album,
Yeah.
got some really good stuff.
I think the album versus some of their other ones, with the exception of probably the stage, really does feel more like an epic, like a Prog.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying it is because I don't actually know if lyrically it is, but it feels like it'd be a concept album. Kind of flows together like that.
Yeah.
Versus their other albums, again, the exception of the stage, which also feels like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if any of their albums are actually concept albums. I actually don't know. Not that I know of, but maybe maybe some of them have common lyrical themes or something like that.
I don't know.
I might have to look into that after this. I'm
I
not aware
kind of
of any of them being concepts.
I kind of assumed the stage was, but I don't actually know where I got that impression from. It might just be a total,
It is. It's Prog.
yeah.
So it's probably a concept. All right. How about now we're in our top three. So what's your third favorite?
Yeah, I guess I'll say Nightmare. And this is another one. This one, Hail to the King, and the stage are the ones I know. Yes, this one, Hail to the King, the stage, and Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. I had to look up on YouTube.
Yeah.
I did go back and listen to it several times. Uh, and oh, I actually really like this album. I feel the only negative I have, it kind of feels weak in the production compared to, and like the guitars feel a little bit, just have a little bit more of an ugly sound. Yeah, that's a harsh word. Compared to the preceding albums, like it kind of almost sounds more Waking the Fallen, and I'm specifically talking about like the distorted guitars.
Mhm.
I find it's a little bit rougher now. Keeping in mind, I'm talking about listening to this over YouTube, so
Yeah.
again, maybe the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But I feel like this album, it kind of has the best of both worlds of their sounds. Well, all worlds, because they kind of, they have a lot of facets to their overall sound. But it's really good, like the Hail to the King-esque, really like four on the floor, pumping kind of songs. Like Nightmare is just badass. There's no other way to describe it. It's really strong there, but it also has like really, really solid battles, like ba- ballads,
Yeah.
battles. Wow, what's a battle? What did that kid just say? I think he said, "What's that rattle?" It sounded like battle. Anyway, if anybody
Some of
knows
the
what
songs
that's from.
maybe sound like battles too. There's some pretty like kind of war march sounding guitar riffs and drum parts on
True.
there. Yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
ballads as well. Like the ballads, I guess Fiction is maybe kind of a ballad. It's kind of a weird one, the one that has the Rem's vocals on it with the piano intro.
yes.
That one's pretty.
And if that's the song, I'm literally gonna pop that on to. All the ballads on this album are really good. Yes, and that like album's honestly really really good. Uh, yeah, and maybe this isn't fair because maybe the album, when reviewing a piece of media, you should just like disregard the context it was done under and just yada yada yada. But like knowing like what happened to the rev and listening to that kind of adds like
Yeah.
a bit more to it.
I think it does, knowing that I think he wrote a lot of the drum parts on the album. Mike Portnoy kind of brought his interpretation to it,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like it's almost like music coming out from the Rev after his passing, which is cool. And some of the vocals on the album being his that he recorded before his passing is also really neat. So it definitely gives it some emotional weight because the band is going through such a hard time after he passed away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know what you mean. You try to like just look at it from like a compositional standpoint, but I think that the emotion that comes with that almost adds to it.
Oh, it does. Uh, but Victims, like all the ballads on here are good. That one, Fiction, Victim. I forget. There's another one. There's one that I think maybe it's So Far Away.
Yeah, so far away. Yeah, that one would kind of be like one of the softer ones.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah. Like I honestly, I love that song. And so again, like the album really, like the ballads are all top notch. The Then it has really rockin' songs. It is probably lacking a bit more in like the progressive kind of yada 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 compared to City of Evil
Yeah,
and The Stage and maybe even self-titled.
right.
But yeah, like I really like the album. The production, yeah, I just don't really dig the way mainly the distorted guitars come off a little bit too raw sounding compared to the albums
Okay.
directly before it and after.
All right. Yeah, I didn't notice it as much, but
Again, I'm listening to it off of YouTube,
yeah, I see.
so through shitty headphones. So
Do you have a favorite song on Nightmare?
I'm just gonna say, I'm honestly gonna say at this very moment, So Far Away.
So Far Away. Cool.
Yeah, I really want to listen to that now.
Yeah, I think I'll
Probably will.
I'll throw together a playlist again, like I did for the Dream Theater video, just kind of like a two best songs for video, where we could both put our top picks on the Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Be a good introduction to anybody who hasn't really listened to all of Avenged Sevenfold stuff, and they just want to hear like two best songs on each album, one playlist. My third favorite Avenged Sevenfold album is actually Waking the Fallen, their second album. I consider that a metalcore classic. Like, it might be the best metalcore album of all time for me, actually. I'm more into prog metal than metalcore, but I did really like metalcore for a while in high school, and I still like some of the classics. And yeah, I think the guitar work's just amazing. The riffs are great on Waking the Fallen. My favorite song would probably be Eternal Rest. It starts with just like a blistering guitar solo right at the beginning.
And it has like a really the thrash beat kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it just goes right into it. Yeah, I know that
Yeah, it almost sounds kind of like punk rock too.
Yeah.
Like a punk rock thrashy beat with this just like blistering guitar solo. And the solo doesn't sound like any of their other solos. It's not melodic at all.
No.
It's kind of shreddy, like tearing it up in your face right off the beginning. Whereas a lot of their other guitar solos are melodic and have those like dual lead harmonies. This one's just like shredding as fast as possible right away.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool. And then it has a great breakdown, has a nice melodic outro. Also has classical guitar behind it in the melodic outro.
Yeah.
Much found whenever they kind of layer in that classical guitar, it's just got a really nice sound. I think they're good. They're good at classical guitar. They should probably use it more often, in my opinion. And then second favorite would be, I think the one you mentioned actually, Reminiscence, which also has that classical guitar pulled out again. But it starts with just like this tremolo picking riff that they harmonize as well.
As soon as we're done filming this, I'm listening to Reminiscence and So Far Away. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna have some listening to do after this to like catch all the awesome parts again. Yeah. All right. So that's my third favorite. Let's go on to your second favorite album by Avenged Sevenfold.
Well, I'm gonna have to say they're self-titled, and this album probably more so than Nightmare really does have a kind of like how I was talking about having like really groovy stuff versus like progressive / good ballads, etc.
Yeah.
This one probably is a little bit more balanced on the side of Prog, which is, or rather, maybe not Prog, yes, but experimental.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not so much prog, that they try some different styles, I guess.
Yeah.
Country, the Broadway,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, which is really awesome.
Definitely the highlight for me on this album is, I'm gonna cheat, but due to the way they flow into each other, I kind of almost consider it one song. But Gunslinger and Unbound, like that is just such a good
Yeah.
two songs counted as one.
Yeah. They.
Uh,
So would that be your favorite song on the album?
yep, I'm gonna count them as one song. They kind of flow into each other like they are.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to pick one half to be your favorite. You like the Gunslinger half or the Unbound?
Well, I think Unbound is it three parts though, because they have the Wild Ride in parentheses.
Oh, I don't know. I count Unbound, the Wild Ride as one song, and then Gunslinger is one song.
It definitely is. But I guess I'd go with Unbound. I feel like I think it's more warranting of respect, which I mean isn't, you should probably just rate music and any piece of entertainment on just how much you enjoy it, but whatever, I'm gonna not do that.
Yeah, given that we both kind of we write music a bit, and we play like, but we kind of see it differently, so we can like
Yeah,
we can have mad respect for a piece, even if it's not the one we like move to most, just like compositional respect for it, or
exactly.
or the performance or whatever. If there's something amazing about it, where you're just kind of wow.
Yeah. Unbound, it has the thrashiness, but it also does have like because that is one thing that sort of fell off a bit after City of Evil. They sort of got rid of a bit of that thrashy, I guess you could call it punkiness, but definitely like thrashiness.
Yeah, there's almost no more punk influence after that. I find maybe a little bit here and there, but
Yeah, maybe, I mean, it's not really punk, but I feel like the stage kind of brought it back a bit.
mm,
Like in terms, like I guess in terms of the thrashiness. But this album just really, oh yeah, but Unbound, it has kind of all the elements of their music in a way, because it has like it has the thrashiness and like the melody, but then it slows it down at the end. It brings in the girl singer, really nice voice, and it's
like a child.
experimental.
I thought it was like a child singer. Maybe it might even be like a boy. I'm not sure if it's like a little boy singer. Or is that the one where it's like, there's nothing here to take for granted with each breath that we take?
Yeah, I thought it was like a young girl, like
The child, I think.
maybe
I'm
like
not sure.
a younger, yeah, like, but no, this album, and honestly, those two songs, kind of, was kind of going through a rough time in my life at one point, and this album is kind of glued to that now, and so there is a lot of nostalgic value to this album versus this one probably touches me more than the rest of them,
Yeah.
honestly, and that's probably like part of the reason why. But yeah,
Cool.
and A Little Piece of Heaven is just kind of awesome because of how, like, first of all, it's just epic, and it's just crazy, and it's like, honestly, it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
I remember I saw them do it live, and they said, and the Me Too movement was like all in at the time, and they like pretty much made a mockery of that, because the song, I mean, the lyrical content is, yeah, definitely not something somebody really invested in the Me Too movement would not find a little bit troublesome. But again, it can't be Tim Burton. That's the song. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's so over the top that it's almost like
It's tongue in cheek.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's tongue in cheek. It's like an evil metal Broadway show tunes with horns and
Yeah.
dark lyrical content, but it's about like murder and necrophilia and whatnot, but it's kind of just like, you know, like a lot of metal, like death metal and black metal. It's just got those areas of metal just have dark lyrical themes, and sometimes it's not serious. It's just kind of like an image thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of that, and I just enjoy it as like a, you know, fictional,
Oh yeah.
over the top thing.
I mean, like have you ever listened to Cannibal Corpse? It's a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
You know.
That's my favorite thing to listen to, but I have listened to it. I guess I wasn't as big into death metal ever as maybe you were. I like kind of progressive death metal, like Opeth and the Face,
Yeah.
which I really love.
I like both. Like Evisceration Plague. That one. Oh, damn, that's good.
Yeah, I guess progressive death metal, and then maybe some melodic death metal, or like In Flames and stuff like that. But I never got into the brutal death metal or like the old school death metal.
Yeah.
There's lots of death metal out there, and I'll have to check it out more.
Yeah. No, I dig it.
My second favorite album by Avenged Sevenfold would be Nightmare from 2010. The first album after the Rev's passing, featuring the great Mike Portnoy on drums. We just talked about Dream Theater in one of our past videos. He's just a really great drummer. So he kind of brings justice to the Rev's parts. The Rev had a very unique drumming sound though. Like, I don't think anyone could really play like him, not even Mike Portnoy. Like, there's something about the way the Rev plays that is still kind of missing, but it's awesome to just hear parts that he wrote. Really great, really emotional, really powerful stuff. Like we said before, hearing the Rev's voice after he had passed away. My favorite song on Nightmare, I don't know, it's a hard choice. I put down Buried Alive for the soft intro and verses and the hard-hitting, catchy chorus, awesome guitar solo, a nice heavy thrashy ending. But I also like Nightmare, the first song with the evil, I guess it's like a lullaby music box sounding thing in the intro, which kind of fits the title. And then it has the awesome harmonizing guitar riff, catchy chorus again, great solos. They do catchy chorus well, and it's kind of different from Dream Theater's catchy choruses that we were talking about before. It doesn't feel like Avenged Sevenfold is just like phoning it in. It feels like they actually really are just good at writing catchy choruses.
Yeah, and that's the thing about that's the thing about Hail to the King to me. Hail to the King does not feel like a band who was selling out to make, just because, this is going to make us like money. We don't, I genuinely think that's the album they wanted to write. They're like,
yeah.
So when they do stuff like that and they do like these ballads, it feels a lot more genuine than when other bands do that. And maybe that's unfair to other bands, but I feel like that's genuinely who they are.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they have I think they have a big variety of influences. I heard some of the covers that they've done, and their influences range from Pink Floyd to like the obvious ones like Metallica and Maiden, and then they have the punk and hardcore influences, and even the prog stuff like King Crimson and weird experimental stuff, like they covered Mr. Bungle, which is an awesome band. So I think they really do like that variety of things. They like soft songs, they like acoustic songs, they like metal, they like country, and they bring that all in, which is really great. They just wear it on their sleeves. They're afraid to go anywhere, which is kind of cool. Especially given how popular they are. They're kind of like a pop metal band almost, but they push boundaries a lot more than what you'd expect from a pop metal band.
It's kind of true. Yeah.
All right, I guess we're at our favorites. What's your favorite Avenged Sevenfold album?
Well, this goes back to what I was talking about, like with respecting something and like it speaking to you emotionally. But well, I mean, process of elimination. I gotta go with the stage, just because it is so solid in every aspect. I feel like it has great catchy songs. The production is like stellar. Like the guitar and the vocals sound so pristine. Everything does. Uh, the drums sound really good, though they almost sound a little bit too good. I will say that versus some of their other albums, they seem a little bit less organic compared to like Portnoy's drumming on Nightmare or the Rev or yeah. That might be the only negative production thing, and it's not really a negative. It's just kind of you listen to it and you're like, this could, not saying it is, but this could be a drum machine kind of thing. If
Yeah,
somebody said, yeah, it's a drum machine, you could kind of believe it. Whereas the earlier ones, you're like, I don't know, that sounds like a human.
it's probably like sample replaced and everything. Like all the kicks sound like very equal. Whereas I would be surprised if like sounding the seventh trumpet was sample replaced at all. Like they probably just like threw a mic up in front of the drum set and the rev just like went crazy.
Yeah.
So it's very very different that way in terms of like the production techniques that they use.
But the stage, oh, sorry. The stage has, I think, every element of their songs. Although, one thing I really can't think of right now is if it has a strong ballad or not. It probably does, but I can't like think of one off the top of my head. Nothing, no ballads stand out in the way they do on Nightmare or previous albums.
Yeah, I forget. I feel like there must be a ballad, but I forget what the name of the song is.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the
It
track
definitely
list.
doesn't- Yeah, it definitely doesn't stand out like "Seize the Day" or "Dear
Oh,
God."
headphone popped out. Sorry.
Yeah, the ballad definitely doesn't stand out like "Seize the Day" or "Dear God." Or "So Far Away." I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
as far, like, I don't even know if there is one. Like I'm sure there is, but
Probably is.
no. I guess okay. I'm looking at the track listing. I think "Creating God" was sort of a ballad, if I remember correctly. I know the chorus ballad-esque. That's the only part I can remember. But maybe Roman Sky, is that one a ballad? Either way, the production, like this album has all the aspects of their music they've done before.
Yeah.
It has like they brought back that thrashiness very much. So they it has the like the stage has the really just pumping kind of riff and all that in the same way that like Hail to the King does or Nightmare does. Uh, it's got the experimentation. I forget what the song is, but it has the it has like the horns and stuff during the chorus or whatever you want to call it, hook.
Yeah,
And
I remember that one. Is it "Sunny Disposition"? Maybe. Let me see.
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's right. Yeah,
That's just cool, and it's kind of like a little piece of heaven-esque, you
yeah.
know. But the song also has like thrashing. It's just a very the album is so well produced and performed and written, composed, and everything that it's hard not to just say out of sheer respect that it is their best. Even though again, musically, there's no such thing as objectivity, but
Yeah.
really have a hard time not saying it's their strongest and least in terms of like any kind of possible objective measure.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Definitely, I feel like it's their most progressive, and I do think that the guitar playing Sinister Gates, especially like the leads, just gets better and better every album. And it started out pretty amazing. Like he started out amazing right at the beginning.
It's true.
And it's just freakish by this point how good he is, especially on the stage. Amazing.
You know, now that you say that, yeah, I was listening to their discography, and I really never, when I listened to Sinister Gates, he never really ever struck me as like one of those super guitarists like your John Petrucci's or your Steve Vai's or whatever. I just like obviously a very good metal guitarist, you know.
Yeah.
But I was kind of, when I was listening through their stuff on YouTube and everything in preparation for this, it kind of just struck me one day where I was listening to it and I'm like, you know what? This guy's actually really, really good. Like, I kind of think he is one of those super guitarists. I mean, maybe he's not a Guthrie Govan because that man is a freak. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah. He played on Steven Wilson's album. He played on the Raven That Refused to Sing, and he played on Hand Cannot Erase. Amazing guitar solos on that album, on those albums.
That man is a guitar god. I mean, literally, like, so good it's bizarre.
Yeah.
So Sinister Gates, like, I don't like when I listen to people like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and John Petrucci. As far as I'm concerned, they're like definitely a tier below somebody like Guthrie Govan.
Yeah, it's hard to compare because at that point when you're at the Guthrie Govan, John Petrucci, Steve Vai, Sinister Gates level, like they're all so damn freakishly good that you can't even really compare them to. Like another one I might put up there, I don't know if you listen to Animals as Leaders, Tosin Abasi, like in terms of his innovation.
Yes, I actually think he's incredibly similar to Guthrie Govan. Yeah. He's like, the way I kind of see it is he's like the metal version of Guthrie Govan. Whereas Guthrie Govan is like, you know, more the rock kind of side of that. But from what I've gathered, which again I don't know a super ton about either of those guitarists, Tosin Abasi or Guthrie Govan, but similar techniques and stuff. Yeah. Whereas from what I've gathered, like Joe Satriani, John Petrucci, and Steve Vai, they're not doing any of that like stopping and popping on guitar. They're not using like 8-finger tapping stuff. Maybe they are, but like I guess the difference between, and this is quite a tangent, but we'll get back on track. Yeah. But I guess the difference between somebody like Tosin Abasi and Guthrie Govan versus like Petrucci, Steve Vai, and Satriani is that when I watch, like, let's just say Petrucci, when I watch him play and listen to what he's playing, I can perceive myself doing it. I'm not saying I can play that fast,
right,
but I can see myself doing it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, I probably could, just not that fast, right? When I look at Tosin Abasi and Guthrie Govan, I'm like, what is even happening? Like, it's like they're playing trumpet. And in case nobody's aware of this, I have no idea how to play trumpet. Right? That's what it's like watching somebody, or that's what it's like watching those two play guitar. And I've played guitar for 15 years. So that's kind of a statement about what I think about the playing. Anyway, that's one hell of a tangent.
There's a little tangent for the guitar players in the audience if they want to check out some awesome guitar players.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll jump into my favorite, and by the process of elimination, it is obviously the self-titled Avenged Sevenfold album from 2007. It's the last album with the Revs drumming. I just think it's an amazing classic. And my favorite song is actually A Little Piece of Heaven. We talked about it already, that evil metal Broadway show tune, the horns, the dark lyrical content. It really has catchy melodies. Like, you can't help but sing along to the horrible murder and necrophilia and people coming back from the grave and going down to hell or whatever's happening. I don't follow the story too closely, but it's dark, it's fun, it's all kind of tongue-in-cheek, just super catchy. And then I guess my second favorite, I'll say Gunslinger. I know you mentioned that as like the gunslinger to Unbound, The Wild Ride.
Yeah.
Musician's awesome. Gunslinger, I like how it has that soft country sounding intro with the slide guitar, and it picks up into like a metal song, pretty much.
Yeah.
After a minute or so, and then at the end there's that epic melodic guitar solo. There's a gospel choir singing behind it. Like they'll just kind of do whatever they think sounds cool, and it does sound really cool.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I'm thinking about it, and they really do have a unique sound. It's kind of something that you listen to something a lot, you almost take for granted and forget just how like nobody else sounds like this. Like this is a country song or a western, whatever you want to call it, that turns into a metal song and then the next song after it starts with like thrash, and like the last song is a Broadway style Tim Burton. It's like what the fuck? Second last song, sorry.
There's no other band that has that combination of sounds on their album that I can think of.
And it feels so organic. It's not like they're just throwing shit together. Like
it does feel cohesive. It flows. There are other bands that combine like country and metal, and there are other bands that combine Broadway and metal, and gospel and metal. But there's no bands that kind of do it all like so much like Avenged Sevenfold does, and has it flow really nicely like that. It can remain like super accessible and not seem like this weird experimental out there album that like that would never achieve mainstream success. Like this is something that they play on the radio, and that like people who aren't even metal fans, like if they think of metal bands that they like, this is like one of those bands. So whatever they're doing is working. A lot of people are liking it. They maybe get some hate from like the pure metal elitists, but it really is good. I don't understand the hate because they are technical. Like the guitar playing is amazing. The compositions are great. They have progressive moments. They experiment. It's not bland pop. So
I mean, people can, like why can't you like? There's no reason why you can't like really progressive, like really involved compositions and really basic stuff too. And if you only like one of those, that's awesome too. There's no reason to be a snob about it, like if you like Barbie Girl and you like Bach, that'd be a combination. Barbie Girl. Anyway, I like Bakwa. Oh, I'm glad they thought of that. Bakwa.
We'll have to do a mashup now. I wonder if that probably exists. I wonder if everything exists on the internet. We'll have to YouTube if there's like a Bach and Aqua mashup.
I'm literally looking it up right now.
That'd be hilarious.
Bakwa. Please be a thing. Nope. Oh, Bakwa is a city in India.
Okay. But not a
province.
Aqua mashup.
It's not a thing. Well,
maybe I'll have to make it. I don't know if I have enough time on my hands to do that.
No, I wouldn't do it. I'd save the time. But oh yeah, like I mean, and if all you like is Bach, that's cool too, right? But I used to be an elite though, so I can't say anything. But yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Yeah, I think we've pretty much come to the end of our rankings. Do we want to try to do a top 3 songs for Avenged Sevenfold before we call it a day on this video? Do you think you'd be able to pull a top 3 songs together? If you need a minute to think, I might be able to pull one together real quickly right here.
I think I can. I think I can do it right now.
All right, you want to go first?
Not in order. I'm not gonna say in order, but and again, this might change in a week. But right now, I'm going to go with, and again, there's like a respect kind of element here, and just like Strength of the World is definitely up there. That riff too is just so fun to play. Honestly, I'm probably gonna throw Gunslinger up there,
Okay.
and I'm just gonna honestly, I'm gonna stay So Far Away because I want to listen to that so much right now. So I'm just gonna,
Sweet.
yeah.
For my top 3, I'll do number 1, A Little Piece of Heaven. Oh, number 2, maybe Beast and the Harlot. Honestly, I know everybody knows it, and it's the Guitar Hero one, and it's maybe like one of those singles from City of Evil, but it is.
There's a reason why.
So number 2, Beast and the Harlot, and number 3, I'm gonna go with maybe like a one of their older metalcore oddball ones, because I think that their metalcore stuff kind of has faded away into obscurity, and a lot of people don't know it. So I'll say Eternal Rest, the one with the crazy guitar solo at the beginning and the classical guitar, just amazing. I think it's right up there. So Little Piece of Heaven, Beast of the Harlot, Eternal Rest for me. And I'll make a playlist with 2 songs per album on Spotify that I'll put in the description of the video. Hope people watching this heard some cool new stuff that they can check out. And I'll stop recording.